Great pleasure to introduce Representative Tony Coelho. The Honorable Tony Coelho has spent his entire adult life helping advance the lives of people with disabilities. Diagnosed with epilepsy when he was 22 years old, Representative Coelho's work is marked by significant milestones. Among them, he is the primary author and sponsor of the Americans with Disabilities Act. He is a former 6-term United States Congressman from California who specialized in disability rights. He has kept this up even after he left Congress by working with then-President Bill Clinton to establish the Department of Labor's Office of Disability Employment Policy, and he founded the United States Business Leadership Network, which partners with such corporations as 3M, Apple, Bank of America, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Cox Enterprises, United Postal Services, Walgreens, and Walmart, amongst many, many others, to increase the employment of people with disabilities. It is my honor to introduce Representative Tony Coelho.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it very much. It's an honor to be here today. I picked up this little brochure, and I want to tell you that I go all over the country. This is excellent, and so if you haven't seen it, pick it up. Above the first thing you see is unlocked, and that's what employment's all about. I take the view that if you give me the right to fail, then I have the opportunity to succeed. And what happens in our country today is so many people ask the question, can you do this if you have a disability? And I'm saying, how do you know unless you give us the opportunity to fail? You give everybody else the opportunity to fail. Why not give us the opportunity to fail? And so it's basically turning around and psychology that exists in this country. You know, I always go back, and most of you are too young, but Jerry Lewis had these telethons, and he was a comedian. And what he'd do is raise money off the back of those of us with disabilities. He'd have somebody come up to the microphone, not to the microphone, just come up to the podium, and he'd pat him on the head and say how sorry he is about your disability. Then he'd send you back into the corner, and he would do everything. I'm saying, I don't want to go in the corner. I want to be part of it. And those of you, as Eric said, I have epilepsy. I've had epilepsy and had seizures for 50 years. I'm 75, that gives you an idea. So I've had seizures. I just had one last week. I still have them. And so every morning when I get up, I don't know if I'm going to have a seizure or where it might be. And so I have an opportunity, I've had the opportunity to work, even though I was discriminated against to begin with. I was discriminated against by my parents who thought I was possessed by the devil. And that's a cultural thing with a lot of different groups. And, you know, I always say that my Republican friends know I'm possessed, but to have your family think you're possessed is a little bit different. Couldn't get a job, and I was kicked out of the seminary. I wanted to be a priest, all because of my epilepsy. And that goes on and on across the board. And as Eric said, there's a high percentage, 75% of those of us with disabilities who don't have a job. And let me tell you why a job is so important. A job is so important because then you have the opportunity to provide for yourself, to provide for loved ones. You have an opportunity to get a home. You have an opportunity potentially to buy a car. You have an opportunity to participate in society just like everybody else. Without the job, you don't. Without the job, you're dependent upon government services and so forth. With the job, you can eliminate that. I've said to the last 5 presidents of the United States that I don't know of any group other than ours who wants to pay taxes. Everybody doesn't want to pay taxes. But we are willing to pay taxes. That means we have a job. And so I have said to everyone, and some of them have repeated it, but it is true. We want the ability to participate in society like everybody else. We want the opportunity to fail just like everybody else. And if you want to see if we can do the job, give us a job. And if we can't do it, fire us. There's nothing that says they can't if we don't do the job. And so when people say that they're afraid to give us a job because they can't get rid of us, I say you're wrong. If we can't do it, you have the right to dismiss us. But you've got to give me the opportunity to fail, like you do with everybody else in society. Give us that same opportunity. So I love what you're doing. I love the fact that you're pursuing people in the state assembly and state, I don't know if you call it assembly here in California, you do, but the lower house and the upper house and parliament, British, in Congress, in the legislature, to get them to understand that Georgia is way behind. Georgia's way behind the rest of the states in providing opportunities for employment. And it's so important that they recognize that we as a community want this assistance. Now let me just say one other thing before I get off. And that is, we'll never get this. We'll never get the opportunity to fail if you don't press people to give us that. And it's not me. I'm going to be speaking to the Senate in a bit. But it isn't me, it's you. And we as a community have to get aggressively involved politically so that people know that we have votes, that people know that we have influence. And if you aren't willing to be involved, then don't complain about government not taking care or insisting that you get an opportunity to work. So it is, if you take the fact that 10% of our population are people with disabilities, and then you take our loved ones and you take those who care for us, that's about 20%. And that is an amazing part of the population. There's no other group larger than us except for women. And so everybody else gets an opportunity to participate except for us. Why not? And we don't participate because we're not engaged, we're not involved. And so one of my efforts, besides advocating for disabilities, is to make sure that those of us with disabilities get engaged, be involved. And when you go across the street, that's the key. When you go across the street and you tell those legislators that you want the opportunity to fail, that's what counts. So I think it's great what you're doing. I appreciate what Eric has done to get you involved and so forth. Keep it up, go for it, fight, make a difference. Thank you very, very much.